Hello and welcome to City Beat. We are your central source of news and information for the city of Rocky Mount. I'm your host, Tamika Keenan Norman. And during today's show, we are talking about the ways citizens can get involved in local government. City Clerk Pam Casey will join us to talk about the city's 15 different boards and commissions, a way for you to make a huge impact within the city of Rocky Mount. Also, young students can get involved with the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council. So we'll have human relations specialist Felisa Hunter, who's also advisor for the Area Youth Council, and Taylor Booth, who is a student in our public school system and also a member of the Youth Council. So stay tuned. More of City Beat is coming up next.
Bye, Janet. It's nice seeing you again. You look good, girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. Help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
take care.
We will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
Hello and welcome to City Beat. I'm your host, Tamika Keenan Norman, and during today's show, we're talking about how you, our local citizens, can get involved in government. And one of the ways is through our many different boards and commissions. Members are appointed by the mayor and the city council. And not only will you learn so much about the city of Rocky Mount, but you'll have an opportunity to make a huge impact on our community. So joining us today to talk a little bit more about our many different boards and commissions is our city clerk, Pam Casey. So welcome to City Beat, Pam.
Thank you for having me, Tanika.
Yeah, how are you this morning?
I'm great.
Yeah, I think this is your second time on City Beat.
That is right.
But it's been a long time since you've been on the show.
It has.
Yeah.
It has. It's probably been about 5 years ago.
I didn't realize it was that long.
I know. I'm into my 11th year with the city and into my 5th year as city clerk.
Wow. So what are the responsibilities, before we get into boards and commissions, what are the responsibilities of the city clerk's office?
So first of all, the city clerk is a position mandated by the North Carolina General Statutes. And so the clerk is charged with giving notice of all of the council meetings and keeping a journal of those records, better known as minutes, and also is the custodian of all city records.
Okay. Yeah. And so one of the things you also do is you kind of oversee that boards and commissions process.
Yes, that's one of those and other duties as assigned.
There you go. But what's the general purpose of boards and commissions? Because before I talked about, making that impact, but what is the purpose of these boards and commissions?
Okay, so I believe you said we have 15 of those, and some are state mandated, and for those, they are charged with carrying out the duties for a public purpose, and some are created by the council for citizens to serve in an advisory capacity. They help to make decisions to promote the community and provide input for the various city policies.
Okay, so you said 15 boards and commissions. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about each one of those, if you don't mind, kind of laying those out for us, because that's a lot of boards and commissions.
Okay. Members serving on a city board or commission, first of all, have to be a city resident. Then they need to complete a personal history form, which is found on our website, or if someone wants to have one of those and they just don't want to mess with websites, they can come to my office on the 5th floor of City Hall and we will give them a paper one. They need to complete that. Applicants are appointed once a year in June.
Now, you said appointed once a year in June, but throughout the year, sometimes you may have vacancies.
If someone moves away,
okay,
or sometimes if someone's serving, they may have some reason that they can no longer continue to serve for health reasons or other reasons, but or if they move outside the city.
Okay.
That would be a reason that they wouldn't be able to serve anymore. So those are times that the council makes appointments during the year.
Okay, gotcha. Now kind of tell me about some of those boards and commissions that you appoint folks to?
I'm going to try to be brief. There's a lot of them. The Board of Adjustment is the first one, and they hear and decide appeals and review any orders, requirements, or determinations for the enforcement of our city's land development code. We call that a lot of times the LDC. So if you hear that, that's the city's land development code. And those members serve a 3-year term. Next is the Business Development Authority, and that promotes the health, safety, morals, right of gainful employment, industrial and commercial opportunities, and the general welfare of the community, and works to alleviate unemployment by the promotion and development of industrial and commercial enterprises in the area. That's a big charge, right? Those members serve a 3-year term. Next is the Central City Revitalization Panel. They administer a program utilizing financial incentives to encourage improvements and preservation within the central city boundaries. Those members serve a 3-year term, and there is one person from the central city property owner, the people who own properties in the downtown area, one of those. Also a central city business owner, one member of the Downtown Renaissance, one member of the City Historical Society, Historic Preservation Commission, one builder or developer, and there are 5 at-large members.
Gotcha.
Next, we have the Community Appeals Board. They hear appeals resulting from decisions or orders made relative to the chapters of the city code dealing with animals, health, sanitation and nuisances, and the housing code. Those appeals are heard by this board are quasi-judicial in nature. That means that it's resemble the powers and procedures of a court of law, and they will take an oath just like if you were going to testify in a court. And those members serve 3-year terms. The Historic Preservation Commission's purpose is to safeguard the heritage of the city by preserving and regulating historic landmarks and historic districts, to enhance the environmental quality of neighborhoods, to establish and improve property values, and to foster economic development. And those members serve a 4-year term. So you can see that the commitments are large because people serve, 3, 4, and 5-year terms. So it is a big commitment.
It is.
But we have a lot of people who have been on boards and commissions, on the various ones, for a good number of years because they really get invested and they really enjoy what they're doing. So continuing on, the Housing Authority provides decent, safe, and sanitary low-rent housing for low-income families, and those members serve a 5-year term. The Human Relations Commission promotes understanding, respect, and harmony among all people. That is a 4-year term. The Martin Luther King Commission organizes programs and activities honoring the legacy of the late Dr. Martin Luther King, and for promoting unity among the diverse populations within the city. And we have a good diverse population here in the city.
We do. I think one of the activities that they do is the International Festival of Cultures that we recently had.
They do, and we've just had that. That's right. That's right. And also on Martin Luther King Day, they do those activities for organizing that, and that is a 3-year term.
Okay.
Next, we have the Mayor's Commission on Persons of Disabilities. Now, I do want to say that you do not need to be disabled to be on that commission. You just have to be concerned about people who do have disabilities to serve there. That's a little bit of confusion sometimes. But they serve as a formal and continuing means to make the community aware of the needs and the disabilities of people, to encourage the involvement of persons with disabilities in the daily activities of the community, by promoting their gainful employment, because just because you're disabled doesn't mean that you can't work and contribute. And by removing architectural barriers, by acting as an education, public relations, and advisory agency to both individual citizens with disabilities and the community at large. On a personal note, my sister has a disability and navigates in a wheelchair, and I was delighted when she came to City Hall that she was able to press the button, get in the front door, and that our bathrooms are accessible. Down at the Imperial Center, we've done an awesome job making that wheelchair accessible. So I think at the city, we are doing a good job looking at those things.
That's true.
And the folks on that commission serve a 2-year term.
Okay.
The planning board has a big job, and they conduct a comprehensive and continuing program to direct the community's growth among civic lines, city lines, and establish principles and policies for guiding development in the city and the city's extraterritorial district, and those are extend into the county.
Okay.
Those members serve a 3-year term. The Development Commission acquires and replans blighted areas within the corporate limits of the city. They hold and dispose of properties in such a manner that they become available for economically and socially sound development, and they may undertake the rehabilitation of properties in danger of becoming blighted. That's a 5-year term. There is the Rocky Mount Wilson Airport Authority, which is an exciting board or commission, and they're responsible for the management, operation, and control of the airport. That is a 3-year term. The Transportation Advisory Committee duties are to develop a 5 to 7-year plan known as the TIP plan. So that is, TIP is short for Transportation Improvement Plan.
Okay.
And they develop a unified plan for a work program for the area. Those terms are 2 years. The Tree Advisory Board makes recommendations to the city manager relative to trees and shrubbery around city properties.
Okay.
That is a 4-year term. The Utility Service Review Board reviews and makes recommendations relative to updating customer service policies, works with city staff on general outreach and information. They hear appeals, and that is a 4-year term. So just as a recap for all boards, members serve without compensation. The terms are staggered to allow for members and current members to serve. So as new members are coming on, there are experienced members who are still in their seats and still in place to guide them as they come on. And a member of city staff facilitates all of the meetings.
And those meeting times, I would imagine, vary from board to board.
Yes, they do. Some are during the day and some are at night. Most of the meetings are here at City Hall. I think all of them are, with the exception of the Airport Commission. They meet actually at the airport.
Okay, okay. And some boards meet maybe once a year, once a month.
Most of them
sometimes?
meet once a month. Some of them take a break during the summer.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah, okay. Now, Pam, what would you say, because you mentioned that this is a volunteer opportunity for folks, so no compensation. Why should people get involved?
It is a great way to learn about local government. It is a great way to have input in city policies and procedures, and you will learn so much about your community. Many of the people that come to our boards, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, have come to our Citizens Academies, and they have enjoyed what they have learned there so much that they just want to be more involved.
And you were a member of Citizens Academy as well, right?
I was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And during Citizens Academy, I know citizens come in, they have the opportunity to learn about all of the different departments within the city of Rocky Mount. How was that experience for you?
It was awesome. I learned so much, and during the course of my normal day, I'm so busy doing my own job that I just don't have the opportunity to go out to the wastewater treatment plant or to the water plant. And our water plant is a beautiful building. It really has a lot of interesting architecture in it. And it is just so interesting learning how our water is made for us. It's not made, but it's cleaned for us, and so that it is safe for us, and so that it is safe and available for us. That was a very interesting opportunity, and I can't tell you about a little fun thing that we do for Parks and Rec because I don't want to spoil it for new members, but that's a really fun night because Parks and Rec has all the fun anyway, right?
Yeah,
So
they do.
even as a city employee, I learned very much about the city, although I was already here. So I highly recommend it.
Yes, and it's true because you do your job, and a lot of times you don't know. You may have an idea of what other folks do, but you don't really know all the details involved
That
with
is
their
so
job.
true.
So it's good to be able to learn that, and interesting to find out all that
Very
people
interesting.
do.
It was great.
Yeah. So I know we digressed for just a moment, but we're talking about how citizens can get involved in local government, and that's one additional way.
That is
you know,
right.
aside from the boards and commissions.
Yes.
So anything else that you want to add specifically about boards and commissions?
I would only say that there are 9 external boards.
Yes.
And those external boards are the Bradsville Memorial Library Board, Carolina's Gateway Partnership, North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Agency, Tar River Transit Governing Board, Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments, Gateway Technology Center, Firemen's Relief Fund Board, the STEP Board, and the Upper Coastal Plain Brownfields Coalition Steering Committee.
Okay. Now you said external, so is the city affiliated in any way with those boards in terms of kind of selecting members, et cetera?
Only that we appoint board committee
Okay.
people
Okay.
to their board. And if anyone has any questions, they can call me at 972-1322.
Pam, thank you for joining us on City Beat today.
Thank you, Tamika, for having me.
Yeah, and hopefully we won't have to wait another 5 years, okay?
That sounds good.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in to City Beat as well. And coming up in just a few moments, we'll find out how young folks can get involved in local government as well. We've got the details on the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council. You're watching City Beat. We'll be back.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Hello and welcome back to City Beat. I'm your host, Tamika Keenan Norman, and if you're just joining us on today's show, we are talking about how citizens can get involved in local government. I do want to thank Pam Casey, who was on the show a little earlier to talk about our many different boards and commissions. And also joining us today is Felisa Hunter, Human Relations Specialist and also advisor for the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council, and a member of our council, Taylor Booth. So another way young folks can get involved in local government. So welcome to you both for being on City Beat today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, really excited to talk about the Youth Council. This is the first time, we've talked about this on TV 19. First time Felisa has been on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what you do, Felisa, what the Youth Council is and how long it's been in existence.
The Rocky Mount Area Youth Council is a state chartered program. It is under the umbrella of the Human Relations Department for the city of Rocky Mount, and it's been in existence since the late 1970s.
Oh, so it's been around for quite a while.
Quite a while.
Yeah, I think you told me earlier that Loretta Braswell, who used to be over the Human Relations Department, kind of brought this into existence, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what's the criteria for students who want to get involved?
Well, the criteria for the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council is basically they need to be a student in Nash, Rocky Mount, Edgecombe County schools, and grades 9 through 12.
Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Well, that's
That is
good.
totally it.
That's good. So how many members do you have now?
About 63 youth council members. And the main thing is youth participating in this program so that they can get a better understanding of team building, leadership skills. Those are things that they could take with them throughout the rest of their lives.
Yeah, definitely important. And, I remember working with you in the past about some of the projects, some of the events that you all participate in and you organize and initiate. Tell me a little bit about some of those.
Sure. The Youth Council actually collaborated with National Rocky Mountain School System to help with the Backpack for Buddies project. And the Youth Council, what they did is bought in non-perishable items. We had enough food to feed at least 30 students and their families. And we also put toiletries and backpacks and deodorant and things like that together. That was one of the projects that we did. We implemented the first bullion walk that was held last year.
I remember that.
And that was successful. And Taylor will talk about that a little bit further down in the interview. And this year, we are collaborating with the Bassett Center. The youth wanted to do a project mentoring youth at the Bassett Center, but also with that, we're going to incorporate healthy eating habits and also an exercise program for them. So the youth, we're going to go out, we're going to buy books that's pertaining to whatever grade that the youth is in at the Bassett Center, and we're going to get someone to do an exercise class, and then we're going to get a lot of information on healthy eating.
Okay, and the Bassett Center, if you'll remind folks, what's kind of their purpose?
The Bassett Center is a homeless shelter, and there they have a lot of students that need tutoring and mentoring. So the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council would like to they're taking that on as their project this year.
Oh, well, sounds like fun. And Taylor, how long have you been a member of the Youth Council?
3 years as of now.
And you're secretary, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how did you hear about the Youth Council and why did you decide to get involved?
Through school, and I decided to get involved because I was in multiple classes that require volunteer hours like AVID, and the Youth Council provides a lot of opportunities to do volunteering.
And I forgot, you've never been on the show before, so you got to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you go to school, all that good stuff.
I go to school to Nash Central High School.
Okay.
I'm in the 11th grade, and I would like to be a neonatologist.
Oh, so okay, what's that?
A neonatologist is like a baby doctor per se. They usually work mostly with preemies, though, so not everybody might see them.
Oh, well, congratulations. I know you're going to do well.
Thank you.
Yeah, have such great aspirations. So, we talked a little bit about some of the events that the Youth Council gets involved in. What has been your favorite up to this point?
It would have to be the Bully Walk, just because it was so inspiring and heartwarming, like to let everybody know that they're not alone. Like if you're being bullied, you can come out. There's other people. We support you. We're here to help you. And then we had a father come out who recently lost his child to suicide. And he came out and he spoke, letting parents know there's people here to support you. You feel like if you've lost your child, there's people here to support you. If you feel like you're losing your child or you're concerned, there's programs and other things that can help you and your family.
That's very impactful.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. So how do you think being a part of the Youth Council has really benefited you?
Well, it has done a lot for me. I know one thing, when I first got in the Youth Council, I would not be on this show talking to you right now. I would have avoided this at all costs. And then recently, I've been appointed by the governor himself and appointed to the board of Youth Advisory, which is like the Youth Council, but like on another level of all the youth councils.
Okay.
So it's done a lot for me.
So when you say you would have avoided me, you didn't want to be on camera previously, I guess?
Yes, I would have just, this whole situation would have been no.
So you've developed those skills that Felisa was talking about a little earlier. Yeah.
Yes,
Leadership, all that good stuff, communication. Well, that's good. You're doing so well. I would have never known that you would have avoided me years ago, okay? But there's one program that you have that I think is really interesting. I think you've done it for the past couple of years, and that's the mini grant conference that you do too, which is huge. Tell me a little bit about that, Felisa.
Well, the mini grant program was initiated in 1977 through the state, and what that conference does, and we've hosted that for about 16 years straight. And what that conference does,
I feel bad. I just said 2. Okay, 16.
Yes,
that's
16.
amazing.
Yes,
it
is. And what it does, it gives students an opportunity to go out into your community, go around and see what type of program or what type of project you would like to implement that's going to impact youth. It has to impact youth.
Okay.
And what they'll do is come back as a group, like the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council did, and put a grant together, a budget together, And what they will do is actually meet here in Rocky Mount over a weekend-long event, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they will go over and they will tally up money. They will determine how much money each organization will receive. They can receive up to $500. So it gives them that skill in case if they were to ever write a grant, they will already know how to write that grant and information to put in the grant, in which Taylor will talk a little bit more about.
Well, when we do mini grant, we get into groups with perfect strangers, some not strangers because if you've been to previous mini grants, but from different councils, that's right there is a great communication process and you get a lot of networking done in that process too. But we get in these groups and each group is handed a grant. You read through, you rate them, and you think to yourself, does this grant need more money? Does it deserve all the money they ask for or less? Usually that's a very long process, but it gets through usually, and it's really fun, and you get a lot of debating done. And so basically, if you're ever in a situation where you need to debate, you know how to do it respectfully, because that's usually what you learn through that process.
And you say it's a very long process, so you're there for the weekend, but how many hours are you there kind of going over this information?
Probably, I want to say around 4 to 5 hours, then we take a little hour break, and then we're back at it for like another 3 hours.
So this is like a full work day for you all.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, Felicia, you mentioned up to $500, but how many organizations can receive that?
What they do, there's just an amount that's allotted through the state, and we had about 23 applications at the last mini grant conference. So I think about 17 or 18 was approved, and so those received whether it was 500 or less, because there's a criteria that they have to meet in order to receive the grant.
Wow, this is huge for young students to be able to do this, and then it's becoming more and more popular for folks to be able to know how to write grants and know how to deal with this. So I think that's really, really excellent. Before we close, I do want to ask you, what would you say to some folks who are maybe on the fence? Hey, do I want to be a member of the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council, or considering it? What would you say to them? Why should they get involved?
One thing I would say, the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council serve as a line of communication between youth and adults. You get that experience of implementing different projects throughout the area, Nash, Rocky Mount, Edgecombe County. You get the volunteer hours, you get to participate in different things, but also too, I've received so many calls from colleges, and it looked good on your application, your college application. If you want to participate or join a sorority or fraternity, letter of recommendation, it's really something good to get into the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council because your voice is heard. There are things that we put out there. We work with the city council, we work with different departments, so it's positive.
Do you hear back from a lot of students who were previously members who went on to college?
Yes, ma'am. Doctors, dentists, a lot of them. Yes, ma'am.
That's good.
And it makes me feel good to know, oh, I was the advisor during that time.
How long have you been advisor?
For about 9 years, about 9 years.
Okay, yeah, so you've seen a lot of students go through the program.
I have.
What about you, Taylor?
I would say on top of all the college benefits that you get, becoming an overall better person, and it just gives you so many qualities that you need throughout life that would come along with being in the youth council.
Okay, anything else you all want to add? Maybe we missed.
And if you would like to join the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council, you can visit the City of Rocky Mount's website under Human Relations Department and fill out an interest form. And also you can call our office at 252-972-1184 and we can mail you an application out. Or if you just want information about the Youth Council period, you can please give me a call.
Okay, Taylor, Felicia, thanks so much for joining us on City Beat today.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. Thank you as well for tuning in. Don't forget to log on to our website, rockymountnc.gov, not only for that application for the Rocky Mount Area Youth Council, but also to learn more about our boards and commissions. And these are just a few ways you can get involved in local government. We also have our Citizens Academy, our Citizens Police Academy, our Citizens Fire Academy as well. And information about those programs are also on the City of Rocky Mount's website. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of City Beat. I'm Tamika Keenan Norman. We'll see you next week.